Good afternoon, folks. It's time for some more development, and today we are going to have a look at the beginnings of, well, lots of drones. Okay, so originally we had this working. Now there is a method to my madness here. I'm going to explain it to you within the confines of the game. So here we are in the game, and we have 468 patches of resources. At the moment we only have one drone. Okay, so obviously we have all of these resources, right? But in effect they at this point are unidentified. Okay, so with that in mind, we can select our probe and then click on a patch. Okay, now our drone is going to fly out there. And it's going to do its scanning. Okay. And we have now discovered copper ore. Okay. Now, the two things we need to do now that we've updated that game flow, is to do it for if we have two drones. Okay, now the point here is we want to find out the closest patch to us, but it can't be too far away. Okay, so let's have a look at that, shall we, to begin with. Now there was something else I wanted to have a look at, but I've completely forgotten what it was. I'm sure we'll come to it in a minute. One little thing there that we would probably like to do is have something similar to the just come up with an unidentified resource. Okay, so in fact let's do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into our resources or minerals, right, and we have our mineral details. Okay, and then in here what we could do is we could wrap this with Widget Switcher. Okay, we'll rename it as Widget Switcher Resource. Okay, and what we'll do is we shall duplicate this, but we're basically going to remove everything, right? So we might leave that actually, and we'll put like a question mark or something similar to that. In fact, let's do that. Let's see if we'll definitely have some sort of question mark, right, in if we go to clean flat icons, right, and icon, hi Sam Karabakak, probably butchered your name there, sorry, but how are you doing, mate? So what we're going to do is we're going to find some sort of a comment, I would say. Yeah, this one will do. And we're going to make it, I think it's what, 75 by 75? And then what we'll do is we shall empty that, and then in here unidentified, and then actually what we'll put here is resource. Okay, so QT, this part looks like QT. Okay, I don't know what QT is. Can you tell me what QT means? I know it's QuickTime, right? But no part of my game has QuickTime events in it, so it's not going to be that. Right? Anyway, so basically this now is, this is a type and this is a nothing. Okay? So if we save that, right, and then we can minimize that, and we're looking for our mineral, right? So if we go to minerals and then we go to BP mineral, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to this widget again, which we had open anyway, right? And then we're going to go to the graph, okay, yeah, this is like this is the GUI for Unreal Engine. Certainly in Blueprints, I've not had a lot of experience with it in C++. It tends to be a bit of a pain in the backside in C++, right? Now what we'll do is we'll say we'll add a variable and we'll call it int, or actually it's going to be a bool, right? So we'll say bool identified, okay, and we'll bring this across a bit. Then we'll set this to instance editable and expose on spawn, and then we shall drag this in, get this, then branch off it, right? And basically if it's true, we grab our widget switcher, and we can put that either at the start or the end, but we can set active index, and in this case it's going to be 0, right? And then I used to make, I worked a lot with like bespoke stuff, right? Especially a lot of Basically, I've done a lot of stuff, right? I've worked in commercial, I've worked in private, I've worked in government, I've worked in research, I've worked in manufacturing, you name it. Right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to set, if it's not identified, we're going to set it basically to the widget switcher to 1, which is going to give us our unidentified, right? And if it is identified, then we're going to change, we're going to set this to index 0, which is going to show the identified one, okay? So we just drag this up. So once again, we're using that good old widget switcher, and we have a tutorial on that on our YouTube page and under Unreal Engine Basics widget switcher, where you can learn about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to use this. We're going to pass in and tell it whether we have actually identified, whether we know if the product is something or if we have not identified it yet. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we are going to refresh the nodes here, and we're going to click identified there, and then we are basically going to duplicate that. We're going to set this here for the moment, right? We'll tidy this up in a minute. And we're going to say it's not identified, right? So basically we don't know what this is yet. Right, let me just move that out of the way so I can delete this. Right. And now if we do that, then we press play and continue, we should get a lot of, right? That's not very good. And that's because we said it was identified. I don't know why that, I didn't notice that, to be honest. Right, but yeah. Right, so now we get that. That's looking pretty good, I'd say, for knocking that up in 2 minutes. Right, so we'll probe this. And here comes our drone. Okay, these are all unidentified. I think I'm going to move this down to here or something, or up into a different position, right? In a sort of position that's always there. Okay, so that turns into copper for us. Then our drone is going to fly back, and you'll see there we've got copper ore and then unidentified. Copper ore, unidentified. So that's looking good. As I said, we probably need to put this somewhere relative to our where our mouse is. Right, but there kind of isn't going to be an easy way to do this unless I put a border on it that's black. Right, because depending on where I am, you know, it's like, you know, where do you put it? Well, if you put it over here, it's still going to be kind of, I think there's no way getting around this other than like maybe putting it always here, and then putting like a black border on it. Alright, which is, I suppose, is a possibility. Right, So we could do that. In the meantime, let's tidy some stuff up. Right? So that ain't doing anything because I was using that for bug testing. And we probably need to tidy this up a bit. So let's do that. This is the part that draws the instance meshes. Well, actually, no, it's not. Well, it is in the first place, right? If we're doing a blank one with no resource on it. But oh, we don't want to do that. So we'll drag this back up. And that's beginning to look a bit tidier. Then we'll do that. And we'll do that. And give me a second, Rusu. I'll see if I can zoom in a bit for you. I'm sorry, I kind of work on it at a zoomed out level when I know what I'm doing, which I keep forgetting isn't the best for you guys right now. The thing is that I'm working on a 4K monitor, so this is like the maximum resolution I can actually give you on this. Now, if I change it, actually at the moment this isn't 4K, this is, what's the number, 2560, 1400, 1440. But the problem is, if I change it to 1080p, then basically half my screen disappears. And it makes it actually really difficult for me to develop on it. I can show you what happens, and it probably will look a bit better to you, but I've not come to a compromise yet that actually works in both instances. Right, for both you guys and me actually working on it. I hope that makes sense, Rusu. But thanks for your comment, mate. It lets me know what's going on. Right, so we're going to tidy up a bit here before we move on. Now, this is one of the parts that we're going to be working on. Right, now I'm going to explain this to you guys once we get to it, right? I'll explain what's going on here and how we're going to have to change it. Okay, and I think we'll delete that and then just plug it straight in. Okay, and then keep this tidy, delete that. As I said, I normally work on it out here when I'm just tidying things up, so believe me, I can't see anything really in particular at this point either. I just kind of know what I'm doing a bit. Well, we can argue about that point, whether I know what I'm doing or not, but right, so let me explain what we'll have to do here. At the moment, we are checking for drones. Okay, now you start off with 1. Then when you get your first reward for researching drones, or probes as I call them in the game, then it goes up to 2. Okay, then it goes up to 4, and then it goes up to 6. Okay. Now, when we click on a resource, then what we want to do is for the first drone to go to that resource. And that's what basically does this, right? But it sets up in AI, okay? It sets up some variables in our blackboard for the AI for the drone, and then the drone just basically does its thing, right? It's purely cosmetic, apart from one thing, right? And I'll show you that while we're here, just for the sake of completeness, so you guys can see what's going on, right? So this is the AI for the drone. Okay, I'll try and zoom in a bit for you. So we've got a root node, then basically we're waiting, and if we're waiting and we click on something, then we start up the motors and we take off. Then we move on to the takeoff position, move to the position of the resource, right? Then we turn around and stuff like that, and then we drop to go down to scan, and then we do our scanning, and then this is the only thing that actually changes any logic within the game, right? Otherwise the drone is self-contained, right? It doesn't actually affect what's going on otherwise, right? But when it's completed its scanning, it says basically found materials or minerals, right? And then it carries on in its merry way, and then basically returns to the basic, to its port, okay? So basically everything in the drone is self-contained and is pretty much basically just eye candy, apart from this one thing, right? Which basically says, I have finished my scan, reveal the minerals, okay? So that's how that works. If you want any sort of clarification on that, let me know. But that's how it works. Okay, so basically, if we tie this to the mineral, right, we get our drone and we're setting has target location, and mineral rocks. Okay, that's the three things we're doing, and you'll see these here. There's mineral rocks, there's target location, and there's home location. Okay, so we set these up, right, and then it basically uses those to fly to the target, to tell the mineral to do to basically reveal itself, and then to fly home. Okay, so that's that. So what we're going to have to do here is do something slightly different, right? And we'll work on this, and as I always do it, we'll work on this piece by piece, building up the logic to get it to work, okay? But in between times, I'm going to explain to you my logic for how this is going to work, okay? And hopefully it'll make sense to you guys out there in internet land. Okay, so as we can see here, we need to move this over a bit. This separates everything a bit to make it a bit clearer as well, and you can see here we're using the blackboard, and I'll tidy that up as well while we're at it, right? We'll get rid of any unnecessary reroute nodes. Right, and we'll give ourselves more space as we do this, and this is basically setting our game mode back to normal once we've actually clicked on one. Okay, so in effect we could do it like this, right? And probably better doing it like that. Save space and makes it clearer what we're doing. If I can actually work my mouse around it. Oh my god, what am I doing? Right, that'll do it. Good enough. Right, now what we're going to do here is we're going to break out our blackboard, right, because basically what we can do here is we can make it a bit tidier, right? So we're going to pull that down a bit, and then that is going to go in there. Then we shall drag this down a bit. Then this will go in here. And we're going to delete that. And we're going to delete that. And And we're probably going to have to do something with this, to be honest. Maybe not. Maybe not. No, we don't actually. But as I said, we shall do this and tidy things up a bit. And there we go. Isn't that looking a heck of a lot better? Right, we can... I don't know which of them look better. Right, this cast is just to make sure that we've got a drone, right? We shouldn't actually even need to do that, to be fair, because we've got this. Right? Anyway. So, let's go back and explain what we need to do here regarding our drone. Okay, so I need a patch to explain my example. Right, I definitely think we're going to move this. Right. So, if we have one drone, right, and we basically click here, then if we have two drones, I want to get the closest other mineral, okay, and set that as the position of the second one, and so forth and so forth, okay? So that is my thinking towards how we do our drones. Now, point is, we can have, okay, I tell you what, let's just do it. Let's not try to overthink this. Let's just do it and see what happens, okay? That sounds like a great idea. So, this first part is actually going to be slightly different, right? Because the first part is just going to go straight to the mineral that we select, okay? So basically, if we're going to do it in a logical manner, then we basically drag off our array index and we say if it's less than 1, okay, i.e. if it's the first one. Okay, now we could do this with a do once, okay, but hey ho, it doesn't really matter, right? So what we can do is we can do that, okay, and we can do that. Okay, so what we actually want to happen here is we'll do a print string and we'll set this up so that we know that we've got more than one drone and it's working as we would expect. Okay, so we'll put I am a drone. Okay, now when let's save that. When we go into our drones and we reveal, it's not actually in the reveal, it's either in the load here or spawn rocks, we have another print string which I want to delete. because that's now irrelevant and working, so we don't need to worry too much about that. Right, but we do want to know if we've got another drone. Okay, so now I've got to remember how many drones and where we get the drones about, and I'm pretty sure it's in player base. Right, so if we go to buildings, right, we can go to player base, and I'm pretty sure it's a player base that spawns them. Okay, and that's applying new stuff. So let's see in here, that's get number of drones. Right. So basically that get number of drones, it basically says there's a minimum, okay? So what I can do here is I can set the minimum here. If I open the local variables and I say temp drones, you'll notice it's 1. Right, so I can actually set that to 2. Right, and if we go back to here, which is where we're going to work with it, we're going to play, continue, and you'll notice now that we have 2 drones. Okay, we've still got our unidentified resource. I'm liking that widget, by the way. That's quite a nice wee widget. Right, anyway, hey Mushroom185, thank you, man. I'm keeping up as long as I can. For now. Right, so what we'll do now is basically our second guy is not going to fly, okay, but we'll soon sort him out. We'll soon give him something to do. Okay. Okay, Mr. Drone. Suddenly you've decided not to work, have you? And I'm an idiot, because that should be 1, not 10. Right, so that's a kind of obvious problem there. So as I said, we shall get our, there we go. There's something weird going on here. Because, right. See, that one starts up, this one does not. Did we get our, yeah, probably it's did it for 2 seconds, but I missed it. Okay, we'll stop that for now, because there's no point letting it do that, because we basically got the result we were after, right? So if I change that to 30 seconds, or 302, it doesn't really matter. Let's not be stupid. Let's not be stupid about it. Right, we'll just do that, then we'll press play, go. Right. Oh yeah, I've got to find stuff, haven't I? Right, here's stuff. Right, we're back on stuff. So there's stuff. And I am a drone. Right? So that's cool. So the next part is we need to find another tell you what we could do here actually. What we could do is we could remove that, remove that, remove that, right? And then we can move that down. Then we can move that to there. Because we want to do this anyway. Or anyway. I'm trying to keep to my best telephone English for you guys. I don't want to drop into too much Scottish slang, right? Even though I really want to at times. Right, so we can do this, and that kind of keeps us more sort of better logic there, so I don't need to copy this, because at the end of the day we're going to use this either way, so that's fine. Right, but here's where the fun starts. Right, we have our initial position, okay, and this is it here, okay, so get actor location. Now that is fine, but what we want to do is we want to fire out line traces, okay, in basically different directions. Okay, so let's do it up the way first. Okay, how's that sound to you guys? Right, so we're probably going to end up putting this into a function that returns like a position of the thing we hit, right? Which is obviously going to be a mineral, because we're going to check that it's mineral, right? So we're going to do line trace by channel, right? And then we're going to get our actor location, and that is going to be our starting point. So we plug that in there. Right, now our end point, let's say we want to go up the way. Now we could do multiple line trace here. I've never used multiple line trace, but we could do it depending on its parameters, but for the moment we'll just do this, right? So we're going to need this, we'll just do that again, right? And then we'll split this, right? And then the end, we're going to split the struct pin on that one, and then Z is going to be the same, X is going to be the same, and Y is going to be Y, let's say plus 100. How does that sound to you guys? Now we will line trace this and find out, right? We will actually check this. So we'll put a debug line on, we'll just say persistent for now, right? And then we shall check if it's hit anything. So we'll say branch. Then we're going to get the out hit result, right? And then we're only going to do something if it's a mineral, right? So what we're going to do is cast whatever we hit to a mineral, right? And if it fails, we do nothing, okay? So if we hit something, we do nothing. If we hit something and it's not a mineral, we do nothing. Okay? Otherwise, what we do is we get the actor location. Right? So location. And where are you? Get actor location. Right? And this basically will then get fed into this, right, for our new drone. Okay? Now, if it doesn't hit anything, then we're obviously going to do another line trace. Okay? Okay, so we're going to be firing a line up, we're going to be firing a line down, right, left, and then we're going to fire it in a diagonal, right, that way and that way. So we're going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to be doing 8 different line traces to find out if there's something beside us. Okay? Now, what we might do is do a certain area, but we're going to have to find out what that area is, right? And it is going to be round about 500. This is actually going to be about 500, right? It's going to be multiples of 500, unless it's the diagonal, right? And the diagonal is, we're going to have to work that one out. Right, so it's going to be 500, 500, so it's going to be the square root of 500 times 500, whatever that is, right? So let's see, because it's a right angle triangle, we just calculate the length that we need for, which is what's basically a radius, right? But my mind works completely different from everybody else's on this one, but I know what I want, right? So it's basically 500 times 500, right? And then it's not that. It's the square. What the heck? It's the square root of it, right? So we do 500 squared. Have we got the scientific one here? Where's the scientific one? Where's the square root on this thing? Is this it here? Right, we didn't want to do that. Get back there. Scientific. Right, where's the goddamn square root? What was it, 250,000? I'm not buying that, it's not 500, right? Actors to ignore self, fine. Right, so let's have a look and see what actually happens here, because that will be cool. Right, so probe, right, we're going to get right at the top of this, and it's actually that's down the way, right? So for you guys to see it better, or let's say that's minus 500, and I'll pick one so you guys will see what's actually coming out of this, right? So we need to pick, right, so if we pick the top one here, right, we can do this, and then why did that not do? That's weird. Why did that not do persistent? Let's do that again. Yeah, you can see it there. Right, and it goes to the middle, which is right. Okay. So what we'll actually do here is this is going to work if I do it here. But what I want is this here, right? Okay, so there's our line trace. Okay, and we can step over, right? And then we can step over. Then we can see what it's hit, and it's hit a mineral, right? So that's cool. Right, so what we can basically do is we might even be able to turn this into a function on its own, right? So that we can just pass in the variables that we need for this. Right? But the difference here is that this is not that, but it's that, right? Has target location, and this is the hit actor, right? So that's fine, and this is fine to a degree, right? But we do need this to go in here. Okay, and this here is basically this. Okay. So this should work if we do one with some, right, so if we do like this one here, you'll see that it's hit this one, and we've got the two up. How awesome is that? And there we go. Beautiful. bauxite, unidentified. We can do that again, right, by doing that. Where are our drones? Here they come. Beautiful. And off they go. Oh hey! Right, I'm going to have a quick cigarette, guys. Check out, if you're enjoying the stream, hit the like and subscribe. And check out the description for my Discord. And there's also ways to support the channel in the description as well, through Patreon or my previous game. I shall be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere, guys. Okay guys, we are back. We always do a couple of special things on Wednesday, Champions League night, which is to round out the half-time scores, right, for all you British guys who enjoy the footy. Right, so at the moment, we had Celtic getting beat 3-1 earlier, RB Leipzig. Chelsea are one ahead of AC Milan. Fofana scoring the goal. I'm going to go for a header there for a corner as my guess. Man City, oh my god, 3-0 up against FC Copenhagen. I wonder if Haaland has scored. Yeah, 2. Okay, so Haaland's got another 2 goals. Benfica 1, PSG 1, which Messi was the scorer for PSG. Danilo on goal was the equaliser. Juventus are 1 up on Maccabi Haifa. RB Salzburg beat Dynamo Zagreb 1-0. Real Madrid are 2-1 up against Shakhtar Donetsk. Don't know what scores were because it's not got a link. And Sevilla are 3-0 down to Borussia Dortmund. So that is your half-time updates on the footy, Champions League, and let's carry on. So, we have one little thing that we have not done so far regarding this. Now, number one is obviously we've got to fire off our line traces, right? But we need to know if our mineral is currently being scanned, okay? Because we don't want the next drone to come down, start scanning, scan one that's already been scanned and send it to the same location, right? So, with that in mind, we can stop this for now, and we're going to set up a variable under our minerals to say being scanned. Okay? Now we are going to have to set this up into a function and loop it, but that's okay, we can do that in a minute, right? And I think this might be the best idea to start setting this function up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function here. It's going to be find mineral to scan. Okay, and I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do. We're going to probably pass back a vector. We're going to pass back a vector. No, we're not. We're going to pass back mineral to scan, right? And we are going to say it is a BP mineral. Okay? Mineral. Okay. And most likely here what we're going to do is we're going to create a local variable, and it's going to be we're going to call it scan targets. Scan targets, and actually, is it going to be? No, it's not going to be a vector. I think it's going to be an int point, right? And it's going to be an array, and it's going to end up kind of similar to what we were doing yesterday, but we're going to have 8 Okay. Now, the interesting thing is x in this case. So we're going to do it the same as if you were watching yesterday, right? When we done our spawning, right? And whether or not we spawn next to something or not. It's basically, this is 1 or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So we shall delete that. Right? And we're going to say 1,000. Oops. That's actually going to be minus 1,000. Okay? And the equation we need for this is a squared equals b squared plus c squared, right? Which is going to give us a right angled triangle and the length of the line trace that we need to fire out, right? So if we go back to our calculator, right, and it's 1,000 squared. So basically we'll want the square root of 2 million, right? Right, so where's the bloody square root thing? That's not it. And that's 20 million. Right, it's none of them. Where's bloody square root? Right, there it's there. 144. 1414, okay? So let's remember that number. So 1 is here, right? So on the x, we want 1,000, and on the y, well actually we just want 1,000, don't we? Yeah, it's minus 1,000. I don't actually need to work out square root. Oh well, it was fun doing it, I suppose. So that's 0, 1 and 2, right? So this one is going to be 1,000, and the y is going to be 0. Then we're going to have 1,000 and 1,000, right, which is to here. Well, we're actually doing it to here, right? So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, then 4 is straight down, so that's going to be 0 and 1,000. Then this one is going to be 1,000 and minus 1,000. Then this one is going to be minus 1,000 and 0, and then it's going to be minus 1,000 minus 1,000. Right? Now, what that does is it gives us a line out of here, or sorry, here, 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 and here. Okay. Now, our problem might be that we're not actually hitting here or here, right? Because it's coming straight through here. And I don't know if it's going to hit these two. If it does, that's fine. I'm quite happy with that, right? But we might actually need to do like this one here, which is basically like in this case it'd be a minus 750, right? So it's halfway between the 500 and the 1000, right? Or it'd actually be 500. Yeah, it'd be 500. Right, so in that case what we'd have to do is one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, here, right? But we'll keep it simple. Keep it simple for the moment. Okay, so what we're going to do is a for each. Right, we're going to save this just now. And we're going to go back to our event graph, right, just for the now. And I don't think we need it here, right? I don't think we need it here, but we're going to set it anyway, right? Okay. And the one final thing we're going to need, we're going to save that, we're going to back to here, is we are going to need an input, right? And our input is basically going to be our start position, right? It's going to be a vector, right? And what it's going to be is the original actor position. So it's going to be this here. Okay? Now, I don't know if I'm going to have to save. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to save this as a temporary variable, right? But that's okay. We'll just set up a variable and we'll see if we need it or not. Start pos, right? Set that, and then that's going to be vector. Save that. Okay. Actually, we're not. We're not, because this is actually the actor location, and nothing to do with the drones at this point. So we only have one actor location, right? So basically, what we can do is we can duplicate this, and it's going to be coming in over here, right? And you can see we've done it there, start position, right? So we actually don't need that at all. Right. We're going to save that. And then we're going to move back into our fine mineral. And we are going to get our local variable, which is scan targets. We're going to get that. We're going to set that, right? And actually, this isn't going to be a for each loop. This is going to be a for loop with break. So if we actually hit a target, then we want to drop out of this and then move on to the next. Okay. Now we're also going to have to check to find out if the mineral we've hit has already been scanned. Well, we can do it with that. Right, so we're going to rename this to is scanned. Right, because that's going to stay like that. So for each, we're going to do our line trace by channel. Okay. And our start position is going to be this. Right, so we'll tidy that up. We like to tidy things up. So we can bring it down there, and that's good. And because we're going to need another variable here, another local variable, which is going to be called temp mineral, and it's going to be of the type BP underscore mineral. Right, and when we come in here, we're going to basically set this to nothing. Right, just to make sure that it's all reset and ready to go. Okay, and then our return value is going to come in here. Right, and when we're complete, we're going to pass this back. Okay, and then at the end of this, well, let's just go through it, right? So if we're going to branch off this, branch. Now we are going to do some extra stuff in here, so we probably need a bit more space in here, because we're going to do some calculations regarding, well, it's not going to be that difficult to be fair. We're going to do that, right? And then we're going to break this. Right, and then we're going to basically add this stuff here, right? So we're going to break that, right? We're going to plug in, we're going to do this, split that, then we're going to plug in our Z into here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add right, then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do that, right, and then we're going to do that, we're going to duplicate it. Bit messy in the moment, we'll tidy it up in a minute, don't worry. Right, we're going to pull off Y, and then we're going to add that one, right, and then this is going to go into X, and this is going to go into Y. Okay, and we want to really see a persistent here, just for the sake of testing. So we're going to have to say that, and then we're going to break out our hit result, right, and then we're going to drag off the actor, we're going to cast it to mineral, right, oops, and then we've got one more check to do, right, we want to check is scanned, going to get that, and then we're going to branch off this. And then actually what we're going to do is get not, so that it keeps it nice and straight. So we're going to say not, then we're going to plug that in. Right? Then we're going to do that. Then if that's true, we're going to say set. Then we're going to drag this into there. And then we're going to drag this into the break. Okay, and then once we've done that, we can tidy this up a bit. So basically what we're saying here is, if you find a target, then immediately send it back, right? And forget the rest of what you're doing. Just stop the loop, basically, is what we're saying there. Stop the loop and basically jump down to here, okay? And that, in theory, should be our code that basically sends out lots of line traces round about to find out another mineral to actually do, right? Okay. So there we go, that's it. And if we go back to our event graph now, right, we want to delete this part, right, except we don't want to delete everything. What we want to do is drag in our function. Okay, and then we basically pass in our start. We drag into here. And we can drag that down into there instead of there. Right, so we can remove that. And we can remove that. Then we can basically duplicate that. Oh, this is interesting actually. This is a slightly different kettle of fish here. We don't do that. Right, so off of there we say is valid. Right, so if it's brought us back a valid mineral, we can do something with it now, right? And what we'll do is we'll do that, and then offer mineral will say is scanned, and we'll say set. Right, now we only need to set this if we actually find something, okay? And then what we can do is we can drag this in here, and then we can say has target, etc. And then this can basically go down to here. and it can go, that's a blackboard object, right? So this is going to be this thing here, right? Now we can kind of sort this out, right? Because there's our blackboard, right? And what we can do is we can drag this down here, do a reroute node, that keeps it there. We can basically do that, which is going to tidy that up a bit. And then we can drag that to here. Okay, then we can basically drag this down. That's better. Then we're going to set that to there. And I want to know where these are going, right? So that we can do a bit of tidying up on this front. Not ideal, but right. This needs to come down a bit as well. There we go, that's better. That's much tidier. What do you think, guys? Is that tidier? I think it's tidier. Yeah, definitely tidier. So we'll save all that. And what we'll do, actually we won't see all the persistent lines here, right? And that's because if we hit something, we're not going to see it, right? So I think the idea here is we shall switch this off, right? We'll save it, then we'll go to our player base, then we'll go to the number of drones we have, and we'll switch it to 4. We'll save it, and then we can test it. Okay, and that's kind of handy. So if we click on here, well, we've got the 4 up and running. Okay, so 3 of them are in the same place. Okay, so the problem there is basically we need to set is scanned to true, right, at this point. Okay, And then we can go back to our event graph, and we basically remove it. Well, we'll leave that one in, but we take this one out. And I didn't set it anyway. Right. So we can try that. And let's try it. Where do we try it? Where would be a good place? I'm guessing here. And that is cool. There we go. How good is that? Right. Let's see again. And there we go. Excellent. So, all we actually need to do now is for our drone, when we're actually scanning, we just need to change how far it scans. Right? And that should be on a timeline. Right? So let's move scanner on Y. X value is 500. I'm not sure if that's... Right, okay. So we'll say 400. And we'll see if that ties it down a bit. That'll do it. So we'll do that one. Well, that's a bit weird. How does that little jumpy thing? I mean, I think it's okay the way it is. I'm just going to put this back, right? I think it's fine the way it is for now. Save that. Let's have a look at it. Right, we'll just probe and probe here. And was that a bit of a weird thing going on? Let's have a look. Was that a bit of a weird thing? Oh yeah, I just remembered what I was actually going to do. I've got to set this BP mineral up to save. Something weird going on there. Is that because of the distance that's going or what? Or is that because of the... Right, let's check this out. Alright, that seems okay. Just wondering if this is due to the distance. Let's check it out and see what happens if we do this one. Yeah, this would appear to be something to do with the distance. Right, so that would be something to do with the blackboard, that I need to set it to be more accurate in how far it actually, how close it gets there before it says basically I'm here. Okay, so we'd have to go into here and then into here. So it'd like have to be this. Now this should have a how accurate it is. Alright. Well, that's interesting. So that's a wait. Ah, okay. So if it's taken more than 6 seconds, interesting. I wonder, let's see that again, right? There isn't an output on this. I wonder what that's going to be. What that play rate actually is. That's a minor thing anyway, so we're not going to worry about that. And there's my dog thinks the wife is returning, but she's not. So he must hear a similar type of car outside. Excuse me a second. Oh, okay, sorry about that. The dog thinks his mum's here, but she's not. So he's losing his crap a bit. Right, so this is basically working. And we're quite happy with that, to be honest. And on that, with the dog losing its... Right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We've got that one thing that we want to do. So if we go back to our event graph, right, and we have our... we have this thing here, which is our mineral details. So what we want to do is we want to go to here and we want to go to designer, right? And actually for this we want to do an anchor bottom left. right? Right, so let's have a look at this. You can see -2, -1. In fact, we're going to say 0, and then we're going to give it a position X of, let's say, 100. And then position 1 can be minus, let's say, 75. Right? And now when we look at this, this should be a bit better. Actually, we don't want it to be minus 100. Right? Or 100, we want to have 50. Okay, and then this would be minus 50. And that keeps it more in line with things. There we go. I'm liking that. Right, so anything we have in a message type, what we're going to do is we're going to make it -50 by -50. Right, and then that will keep us all nice and sharp. Right. And I'm liking that. Right, so that's going to give us copper ore, unidentified copper ore. Yep, we like that. And on that, guys, I think I'm going to close off for this afternoon. So if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the like and subscribe. We shall be back at 8 PM Central Time. If you want to support the channel or find out more, then by all means check out the description for a link to Discord and the ways to support the channel, including adding my game to your wish list or joining Patreon or whatever you like. So I hope to see you later, and bye bye for now.